Welcome back to the deep dive. I want to start with a scenario that I think almost everyone can recognize, especially if you've ever, managed a team or even just tried to get friends to agree on where to eat.
Hmm.
It's so frustrating because it happens when you least expect it.
Well, I think I know where you're going with this. Go on.
Okay, so you're in a meeting, you're trying to move a project forward. You ask a simple question that in your mind is completely logistical, it's neutral. You say something like, can we just walk through why this is a little off track? Or maybe, hey, I just need some clarification on why this report looks different from the template we agreed on.
And boom.
Yeah.
Instantly, the colleague you're talking to they stop hearing the actual words. Their body language changes. They get stiff. Their voice gets a little higher.
Yes.
And they just start listing excuses. You can practically see the defense shields deploy. It's like you accidentally stepped on their tail, and now they're ready for a fight.
That is the perfect description. You think you're discussing a factual thing, the issue, but they hear it as a total attack on their competence, on their professionalism.
And it happens all the time. The worst part is the conversation immediately stops being about solving the problem. It becomes about managing, this sudden interpersonal drama.
Right. So our mission today is to really unpack this exact thing, why a simple, neutral question can trigger such a deep, protective defense mechanism. And then, most importantly, we want to give you a concrete 3-step communication strategy to redirect the focus. We want to move the conversation from a fight about blame to a collaboration on the problem.
And the sources we dove into for this, which, include a lot of discussions between business coaches, they really get to the core psychology. They explain that you haven't just asked a question. You've accidentally touched what they call a value conflict nerve. So we have to learn how to actively neutralize, or I love this term, to disinfect the conversation before that nerve even fires.
So, okay, the first challenge is just realizing we're dealing with some really primitive psychology here, just in a modern office. And the second, more crucial challenge is finding the actual language, the tactics to bypass it. So let's start with that foundation, the psychology of agreement versus conflict. It all starts with something the sources call value resonance.
Value resonance, yeah, it's essentially our default state when we agree with something. Think about when you're in a meeting, maybe it's a long meeting, and a colleague makes a point that just perfectly aligns with your own understanding of how things should work, your beliefs, your goals.
You just nod. You don't even think about it. You lean in, you feel validated. It feels right because that information fits your worldview.
Exactly. When external information aligns with a person's core values or their sense of self, the brain automatically generates this feeling of identification, of acceptance. It's a very low energy state for the brain. It's just affirming, yep, I accept this. It makes sense to me.
But the second we introduce a challenge, even a really gentle one, about a tiny discrepancy, we flip instantly into the opposite state, value conflict.
And that's where the trouble starts. If a statement challenges a core personal value, and this is key, especially when tied to something they take great professional pride in, like their expertise or their work ethic, it triggers an immediate alarm in the brain.
So that professional pride, that's a core value. And questioning a delayed report isn't just about the report.
No, not at all. You're questioning that value. So if you, as a manager, listen to a colleague, and their reasoning seems to contradict the quality or the process you thought they followed, you don't just feel disagreement, you feel challenged. Your brain registers it as a threat.
And that's not just a figure of speech, it's a physical thing. The brain actually starts preparing to defend itself.
It does. And this is the crucial leap you have to make to understand this. A simple question, like asking why a project is delayed, isn't heard as an operational question. It's interpreted as a direct attack on their professional expertise.
And that's where everything gets derailed, because if the brain thinks it's under attack, it immediately stops focusing on solving the problem. The sources are so clear about this. The brain starts preparing to argue, to get ready to fight. The objective shifts, just like that, from finding a solution to pure self-preservation.
I remember seeing this happen once with a senior exec. He completely derailed a strategy session because he felt his team's initial data was being questioned. He spent, I'm not kidding, 45 minutes justifying the effort they put into the presentation, not discussing the actual numbers. The goal wasn't progress, it was defending his team's honor.
That makes so much sense. Once that defense mechanism is up, the focus is just justifying what you did in the past or, deflecting blame. You're phoning the person, not the issue. So the ultimate goal has to be to bypass that defense mechanism completely.
Absolutely. You have to successfully shift the focus from the person who, may have made a mistake to the event itself, what happened. And that means changing our language before we even bring up the problem.
Yeah. So how do we do that? How do we build that psychological safety? It feels like you need some kind of verbal password to get past their defenses.
That's a great way to put it. And that's exactly where this three-part strategy comes in. It's all built on being preemptive, on establishing safety first.
Okay, let's break it down. Step 1, empathy and context. We have to acknowledge the colleague's background, their effort.
Yes. This is a non-negotiable foundation. You have to show that you recognize the effort they put in, even if the outcome wasn't what you wanted. You're recognizing their intent, which disarms that assumption that you think they failed on purpose or were just being lazy.
Okay, hold on. So you're telling me that acknowledging their effort, like saying, I know you tried hard, even if they totally missed the deadline, that's necessary. Isn't that just coddling?
It feels like it could be, but it's not about coddling. It's tactical communication. If you skip step 1, you basically guarantee a value conflict. Their brain is primed to ask, does this person respect me? And if your opening line implies disrespect, they will never hear the actual process-focused question that you ask next. You acknowledge the intent first, which shows respect, and then you address the objective reality.
That reframes it completely. It's a tool for managing the emotional state of the room, not just being nice. Okay, so once we've done that, we move to step 2, which our sources call the crucial part, disinfection.
Disinfection. It's a preemptive move. You must explicitly state that your position is non-blaming, it's not accusatory, before you even mention the problem. You're basically inoculating the conversation against the blame virus.
You're kind of telling their defensive brain, stand down, this isn't an attack on your character, we're just looking at the facts.
Precisely. The whole goal of this disinfection is to prevent that metaphorical arrow of blame from even being aimed at them in the first place. You stop them from spending the whole meeting justifying themselves.
Okay, so empathy, disinfection, that sets the stage. Then we get to step 3, non-aggressive questioning and shared responsibility. What does that actually sound like?
It means you frame the question using language that doesn't assign all the responsibility to them.
Yeah.
The discussion has to move away from personal blame and toward common facts and shared processes. And for that, we need a linguistic tool that just immediately creates collaboration.
And that tool, according to the sources, is one single powerful word, the collective pronoun we.
This is so critical. It's the glue that holds this whole thing together. Using we indicates a shared front. It sends this powerful subconscious message. We are standing shoulder to shoulder, looking at this problem together. It assures them they aren't standing alone, and they're definitely not standing opposite you, their manager, who's judging them.
Because if I say you, I'm basically putting the whole weight of the failure on them. You delayed the project, you messed up the count. That just triggers isolation and makes them defensive.
Right. The word you turns the conversation into a courtroom, and they are on trial. The word we turns it into a team huddle. The difference is night and day.
Okay, let's get really practical. Let's go through the essential script from the source material so you, listening, can really internalize this language. We'll use that scenario of finding a material discrepancy where someone could feel like their competence is on the line. Lay out the 3-part script for us.
All right, here's how you put it all together. Step 1, empathy. You start with, I believe you have tried your best to handle this.
That's the foundation. Acknowledging their effort, building that trust and safety. Got it.
Second, you state the objective fact, no blame attached. However, we still have a material discrepancy.
Purely neutral. Just a statement of reality. No judgment.
And finally, the non-aggressive shared responsibility part. I have no intention to blame. I just want us to think together about what methods we can use to find the cause of the discrepancy.
Wow. Let's just contrast that for a second with how, 90% of managers would handle that. They'd just walk in and say, why is there a material discrepancy? You need to tell me what you did wrong and fix it.
Exactly. And that version immediately activates the fight response. The colleague just hears, you're incompetent and you're responsible for fixing my problem.
But the effective script starting with, I believe you have tried your best, that's the immediate disinfectant. It recognizes their professional pride right out of the gate.
It totally avoids making them feel like the moment they walk in, they're already presumed guilty of messing up. It takes the target right off their back.
And framing the solution with, we can think together, that gives the colleague what the sources call a step to back down on. It prevents them from feeling like they're being, nailed to the wall in front of everyone. The defense just drops because the threat is gone.
The sources really hammer this home. If you constantly operate like everyone is your adversary, you are forcing them into that defensive crouch. And that is just wildly unproductive. When you consistently use we, you're psychologically confirming that you're on the same team, standing together to solve the problem.
And the long-term impact on the team is huge. Over time, using this we approach teaches everyone that when problems come up, the conversation will actually be about the issue, the process, the facts. Instead of forcing everyone to waste energy on defending themselves, they know they won't get thrown under the bus.
Yeah. And when people know they aren't going to be immediately blamed, they're much more likely to share the honest, raw facts of what happened, which is the only way you actually get to the root cause of anything. This strategy just maximizes speed and minimizes conflict.
So, wrapping up the key takeaway here. To build a really collaborative environment and actually get to a resolution, leaders, and really colleagues too, have to pause and intentionally disinfect the conversation before asking a question that could be seen as a challenge.
Just remember that when a person is faced with criticism, our most primitive response is to get ready for a fight. And if you activate that battle stance, the team stops being a team. It just dissolves into a bunch of individuals trying to protect their own position, and that helps nobody.
So for you, the listener, here's the final actionable tip we really want you to internalize. Before you ask why, just stop, take a breath, and ask yourself, will the way I phrase this question build a wall? And if it will, how can I get around that wall?
Right. You have to consider not just your own good intention, but how the other person might perceive your question as a challenge. Even if you don't mean to be accusatory, if they feel that threat, the conflict is on. It's all about perception, not intent.
That little moment of pause and reflection is everything. If you are constantly standing on the opposite side of your team trying to poke holes in what they do, you will spend all your time managing their defensiveness instead of managing the project's progress.
And that's our provocative closing thought, really. Leadership should be about guiding a project to success, not constantly fighting against your own team members who are just wasting all their energy defending themselves. This disciplined communication approach frees you up as a leader to focus on leading the project and solving the problem together instead of battling your team.
That's powerful stuff. Thank you for helping us dive into the power of we and disinfection. We really hope this gives all of you a huge advantage in your next tough conversation.